Okay, let's jump into mini section 2 for our elevation lab. And I have Pro open already. So this is where we left off at the end. Of course, we were in the base layout. Now I want to finish up our two templates because we're going to start making copies of them. Okay, so I am not super crazy about this little, but it's very important, this title area. So I'm going to delete this tech logo, okay? And I'm going to delete that. And I'm just going to move my name above that guy. All right. And now I'm going to come up to insert, the insert tab, and here I'm going to click on the picture. Okay, so navigate to your 09 folder and then add this new one that I just put on Blackboard for you, and it's called TTU Wordmark. Okay, I think this one's going to work better. And then let's just use our smart guides and just draw it out like that and see how that works. Okay, so let me click on. Okay. I don't know why these guys are hard to move. So let me click on. Okay, so let me double click on the picture over here, and that usually selects it. So what I'm going to do is just use these positional arrows, the X and Y coordinates, and I want to move it on the X axis, which is the horizontal axis, and then that looks pretty good. I'll just move it up a hair. Nope, that's too much. Okay, that looks good. So we've got that simplified, and now what I would like to do is let's draw a hollow box around it. So choose your polygon tool, and then what we can do, let's just draw it out like this for now, and then we can adjust the shape over here. So why don't we all make ours 3 inches wide and 1.75 or 1 3/4 inches wide. Okay, and then we can move that over. I'd like to use my, let's get that over like, okay, so 19.65. Okay. There we go. Now let's go to the symbol and let's just make this a 0.5. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, now come up to your layout and full extent. Okay, and now let's hold down on your left mouse button, and let's select everything, but let's lock our map frame. Okay. And the reason I wasn't using those align tools is because see how there's extra space in there, and that's kind of a shame that we couldn't do that. But now you could just kind of pick it up all together and move it over. And what you're looking for is that this space, this vertical space and this horizontal space are just about equal. Okay, now over here, now we're done with that. So let's select all of these guys, right click, and we're going to choose group. And we're just going to call this title box. Okay, and then we can close that up and we can lock that. Okay, nice. So I'm going to come back up here and look at everything. Okay, so now we can make copies of this and we don't have to constantly redo any of that. The only thing I want to do is, and you want to get this right on the template, is I want to make that class name a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select that and go to text symbol, and I'm just going to take that down to 20. Okay, and then that should have been in the center. All right, let's see, paragraph. Position. There it is. Okay, so there's where you can put it in the center. And now let's just grab that class name again and hold down shift and use your, or just, it's not working for some reason. I don't know why those are grayed out. Okay, so let me move this over there. And using your smart guides, you can get it right in the middle. Okay, so that looks better. Now we have more space around all of that. Now I'm gonna select everything but the rectangle, and I'm just gonna move that up. I know this is kind of tedious work, but like I said, once you get it right once, you have this title block, and you can use it for other projects. Okay, so now we're gonna lock that up and close that up and zoom out. Okay. So we were working with the streaming terrain layer, okay? And we are now going to make from our Texas base, okay? Because this template is done and now this template is done, okay? So now what we can do is right here under catalog, let's go to project. And let's open up our layouts, and we can simply right click on this, and we're just going to choose copy and come up here to layouts and right click, and we are going to paste it. Okay, now what's very important when you start making multiple layouts and maps is that you name them accordingly. Okay, so we are simply going to call this elevation. Okay. All right, now what we're gonna do is the same thing with our map, okay? So let me get rid of these guys. You shouldn't, was just something I must have been doing to get ready for this. Okay, so now same thing, right click on your Texas base. You are gonna choose copy, and here, just choose paste. Okay, now once again, click on this and just name it elevation. Okay, now close out of both of these. These are your templates. Okay, and let's do a Control S to save our project. All right, now double click on your elevation map, okay, and we'll get to the layout later. Okay, so you remember how I was telling you how powerful this terrain layer is that you can stream in. And I'm gonna wait for mine to load. Yours is probably might be taking a little bit of time too, okay? And then I want to show you just how quickly, for example, say you were doing an analysis of Playa Lakes on the Llano Estacado, okay, and you zoom way in here. Well, once again, you can't see anything, okay, but that dynamic range adjustment is still working, and you'll see how this pops into just a really incredible definition. So I'm going to push pause and wait for that to kick in. Okay. So, see, that's just incredible to me. I mean, that's beautiful. There are your playa lakes, okay? Because remember, the darker the color, the farther it is, the farther away it is from you. So this is going to be your high point in this area. Now, it's just taking into account the area that is on your screen, okay? And so this data source is really incredible. And again, you can come up here to analysis, and you could go to raster functions, okay, and go down to surface, and very quickly you can say you want to accentuate, you want to make it easier for people to visualize this. Well, you can just make a quick hillshade layer, okay, and you would just put in terrain, okay, and then you would just say create a new layer. Okay, so I'm going to apply the dynamic range to this area. Give me a sec. Okay, so that can help people visualize the terrain because it has some slight shadows, and there's other things we can do with that to make it look better. Remember, we can also make contour lines very quickly. Okay, now here's what the reason I'm doing all of this, and we want to always choose your base layer as the raster to work from. But the reason I'm doing all of this, and let's make our contour interval, like maybe 5, because they don't know how flat this area is, okay? But these contours, okay, these are actually raster-based contours, okay? And that's, remember we went over that term before. Raster files are made up of pixels, okay? And vector files are made up of vertices, okay? Which is a mathematical term for points in space. Okay, so if I was going to zoom into one of these, do you see these are made up of pixels, okay? And what you really can't do a whole lot with these kind of tools except visualize, which is very powerful. And if you need to make quick maps for your client or for your class, get your terrain loaded in, zoom into your AOI, and you can even mask it as we did before, okay, up here. And then you can just apply these different raster functions to it, and you can end up with some very striking visual results. Okay, but what we want to do in this lesson is we want to create vector-based contours. So once again, I just want to show you the difference. See how that's real pixelated? Now that'll clean up a bit, but again, these these are just pixels. Okay. So now I want you to hold down your shift key, and we're gonna get rid of all 3 of these layers. Okay, so right click after you select them all with shift and choose remove. Okay, now head over to your catalog and you should have downloaded this zipped file from Blackboard and unzipped it, and just all you have to do is just place that file in your project file. Don't put it in another folder. And if you do it that way, you're going to see it right here. Okay, so I want us to use a better outline of the state of Texas. Okay, I want us to add this better layer, boundary layer for Texas, okay, that I put in our geodatabase. Okay, and if you're having trouble seeing the geodatabase, okay, you can right click up here and choose refresh. Now you may have left it in the zipped folder after you unzipped it, and if that's the case, you can right click here and hit refresh, and then you might see it like this down here. Okay, so you should be able to find it. And then I want you to open that up and just drag and drop this high detail Texas boundary layer from the USDA, okay? And remove the other Texas boundary layer that you had, okay? So now you should really just have three boundary layers. You have the outer boundary that we just got, okay? Let's turn these on. Okay, and zoom to that layer. Okay, there we go. And then you should have your counties, okay, and your cities. Okay, and we don't need any of these to be turned on for this current lab. All right. But what I want you to do is come up here. Even though it's not turned on, we can still use this as a clipping reference, okay? So you're gonna choose clip to an outline, and you will pick your new detailed boundary from the USDA, and then just click OK. Okay, so now let's add a terrain layer like we had, except it's one that I've created for us, and we can actually do a lot more with it because it's not streaming in from the internet. Okay, so let's right click here on big text and go add to current map. Okay, boom. That looks really good. All right, so what we're gonna do for this map, normally at this scale, you don't add contours to a map, okay? Contours are really for maps that are maybe at 1 to 500,000 maximum, maybe 1 to 100,000 maximum, but we are, well over 1 million. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna simplify the contour process, the contour lines, and then we're gonna add a style that's gonna make them look really nice, okay? And it will really accentuate the elevational aspect of Texas. Okay, so with your DEM selected, come up to your raster layer, and let's do our DRA, dynamic range. Okay, and then for the stretch type, let's go to minimum maximum, okay? And that looks a little better. You don't want all that super high bright white, okay? And again, Texas, there's good data in there, okay? There's plenty of data in there, okay? So even though you can't see it, sometimes it's in there. All right, now let's get ready to start making our contours. Now, when I zoomed in, did you see just how detailed that is? This data is. If we used that, we would run into a lot of problems because it's over detailed for contours. And we like to have contours to be smooth flowing lines, okay? And if we used it like this, it would really just be jaggedy. The file size would be too big. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna blur this DEM, okay? And again, these raster function tools are great for doing quick things like that. Okay, now there's no tool in here called blur. For some reason, you got to go to statistical. Okay, and what we're going to use is statistics. Okay, and we need to tell it which raster, And then let's turn these up to 9. Okay. And under general of output pixel type, you're going to choose 16-bit unsigned. And then you're going to choose create new layer. So you're not creating a whole nother data set. You're really just symbolizing this existing data set in a different manner. It's kind of like when we just change the color of a feature. Okay, so create a new layer. Okay, now it might take a little bit of time. Turn off your big text. Okay, nice. Now you can see that we've got a much blurrier land formations. And while that doesn't sound good, it is in this case. Okay, so let's come up to raster layer. We're going to choose our dynamic range again. And let's choose standard deviation. But let's come over here and refine that a bit. So right click on your statistics, go to symbology, and let's try 3 standard deviations. Because what I'm trying to do is wipe out that big white mess there, and maybe with 4. There we go. Okay, so that is going to work. Now I want you to hit Control S. Okay, and then the last thing we are going to do for this mini section is we are actually going to create our contours. Okay, so let's do that with this analysis tool and regular, click on your toolbox. And I want to explain that if we were streaming in that terrain layer and we tried to use, we tried to make real contours, so to speak, and not just raster contours, it wouldn't work, okay? But since we have our own DEM, it will work. Okay, so let's go to the toolboxes, and I just want you to type in contour. Okay, so let's choose Contour Spatial Analyst, and then they make you click on that. All right, now it's important that you choose the statistics, okay? That's the whole reason we did that operation. Okay, let's call this TX underscore contours. Okay, now these numbers are important, all right? We're gonna have a contour every 40 meters, okay? And that sounds like it's too much. It's not, okay? Because it's gonna be plenty to work with, trust me. Now our base contour, okay, we're gonna leave that at 0. The Z factor will be 1. And then here's where we are gonna do something really cool in the next video, okay? We are gonna work with polygon contours. So they're actually gonna close in on themselves, okay? And we wouldn't be able to do this technique, this symbolization technique, if they were just contour lines, okay? Open-ended lines. Now, maximum vertices per feature. Let's do 50,000. And that sounds like a lot, but if you don't put anything in there, you could have 1 million or more vertices per contour line, and then it just becomes a mess. Okay, in environments, for the coordinate system, just choose this map. And for your parallel processing factor, type in 100%, okay? And then click. Oh, and if you're using a school computer, okay, I'm glad I thought of this. If you're using a school computer, just don't put anything in there, okay, because I don't know if that's going to cause an error. But if you're using your own computer, fire it up on all 8 cylinders. Okay, then just hit run. Okay, so mine popped out nice and quick. all right? And that is where we are going to leave this mini section, okay? I hope you took some good notes. There was a lot in there. And by the way, some of you are taking extraordinary notes. And please remember, that is 50% of your grade, okay? Because I don't want us to just follow recipes throughout the semester that are quickly forgotten. If you take those notes like a lot of you are and really understand the fundamental concepts of this program, you will quickly become a power user. I've learned a lot of software programs, and what I've learned is the most important thing is the fundamentals. And there's a whole lot of stuff this program can do, but if you really don't know the fundamentals, then this stuff is really going to be unobtainable. And you know, the fundamentals, like 80%, 90% of football, basketball, pretty much life is working with the fundamentals. Okay, so let's hit a Control S, and I will see you in the next video.